Marymore Park. An Anna's hummingbird nests in early April. It's morning, and Mom is brooding 2 small chicks. Soon, she'll fly off to forage, fly-catching insects and sipping nectar. Here she's flying in. The blind chicks sense her presence and open their bills. Mom regurgitates food, then broods the chicks. Like all hummers, the Anna's female builds a tiny cup nest of moss, plant down, lichen, and spiderweb. She raises the family by herself. 8 days later, the chicks are much bigger, alert and showing pin feathers. A few days after that, a heartbreak. The nest, I learn, has disappeared. I return to check. The nest is gone without a trace. Close by, a robin's eggs had disappeared as well. Perhaps it was nest-raiding corvids. I prayed the female Anna's was able to start anew. Hummingbirds co-evolved with flowering plants in South America. In North America, most species migrate. Incredibly, some even cross the Gulf of Mexico. They are a mesmerizing family, marvels of the bird world. Hi, I'm Gary Loom. I'm a nature and adventure sports photographer. I specialize in photography from a kayak, in landscapes, and in birds. I love photographing birds. In spring, ashore and afloat, I look for nests I can photograph without compromising the bird's safety. I set up realistic nest boxes in my backyard. I use a long telephoto lens, or sometimes a remote camera or blind. For the well-being of birds, most nests are best left alone. Go off on a winter bird walk in any Puget Sound neighborhood. Keep your eyes open and your ears tuned, and you'll find there's a new bird in town. You may hear the crow caw, the jay squawk, the robin whinny, the junco's alarm. But there's something else as well. A garbled buzz, scolding chips, whirling wings. Aggressive, bossy, ubiquitous. Anna's hummingbirds arrived here from Southern California in 1964. Aided by garden flowers and sugar feeders, the Anna's hummingbirds are resident year-round. Annas are a medium-sized hummer, greenish overall with grayish-white belly and black wings. Females have a smallish gorget on their throat. The male's gorget wraps the throat and extends to the crown like a balaclava. It's flat black until it flashes like a rose-red beacon. Flashes for reasons of territory, aggression, and sex. Hummingbirds hover and even fly backwards. Unique in the bird world, they use flexible shoulders to move their wings in a figure 8, gaining lift in both directions, much like a swimmer treading water. In winter, male and sometimes females defend feeding territory, but the males are much more aggressive. A feeder dependably filled with sucrose gets a stakeout, as will a floral bloom. In my Kirkland neighborhood, a viburnum hedge provides enough food to be defended. Here's a male flying in from his favorite perch to my feeder. Let's rewind and have another look. A slowed approach looks like a pink oncoming train. Adversaries beware. The buzzy wing beats sound like a helicopter at 1/10 speed. This local boss bird drives off interlopers, male and female, but the feeder is occasionally unguarded, so nearby birds get their chance. In the evening, the birds take long draughts, getting ready for a cold night roost where they survive by dropping into torpor. Torpor is a rest state akin to hibernation, whereby their body temperature drops from 105 degrees Fahrenheit to as low as 50 to conserve energy through the night. In January in Puget Sound, the males are in prime condition and many females are ready to mate. Nesting season lasts through May. The male advertises by singing on territory they defend. The singing announces to females and warns other males. But there's something else in the male repertoire, something extraordinaire. Females visit male territories, not just to feed, but to find a partner. Here, our Juliet has landed. Romeo is singing from below. Juliet moves to a better viewing perch. Romeo responds with an attention-grabbing hover. He ascends skyward, then plummets like a peregrine facing the sun. The dive terminates with a loud chirp, a return to hover position, then repeats 10 or 12 seconds apart. The chirp is explosive and emanates not from vocal cords but from vibrating tail feathers. A high-speed camera dissects the display. Let's have a closer look. First, wing flaps to accelerate, then a falcon-like stoop and more speed. The wings flare. The bird arcs towards the female. At bottom, the tail feathers spread to create the chirp. It's all prelude to a chase, a close-up shuttle display, and, if the male's prowess is accepted, copulation. After the nest failure at Marymore, I photographed woodpeckers, like this male northern flicker excavating his nest hole, and a pileated site where 3 grown chicks at times had their heads out begging for food. In early May, Michael Hobbs on tweeters reported an Anna's nest near the boardwalk at Marymore Park, not far from the failed nest. Could it be a re-nest? A few days later, I walked the trail near the boardwalk and after some searching, found the nest. It was eye level, 20 feet off the trail, with clean, unobstructed sightlines. With my long lens, I could make the tiny nest large in frame without being intrusive. Here's Mom brooding 2 chicks. Given the time lapse from the Marymore nest failure, it's possible, even likely, that this is the same female. Enough time had elapsed to allow for nest building, egg laying, and incubation. When I began photographing, the chicks looked tiny and were brooded a lot. I estimated the chicks were 5 days old. What a joy it is photographing this nest. Mom is absent for 15 minutes. Between feedings, I stand entranced by a chorus of song. Birdsong outcompetes traffic noise, barking dogs, and rowing club oarlocks in the nearby slough. Day 8. Mom flies in. The chicks get their regular feeding. Eyes are open now, but without a focused attention. Quills begin to erupt, giving the chicks a gray-black appearance. Brooding is infrequent and short in duration. Day 13. The chicks look double size. They're so alert. Eyes follow Mom when she approaches. No need for brooding, but Mom couldn't fit in the nest anyway. Notice the way the chicks instinctively lift up to defecate. You can see feathers developing beyond the quills. The chicks yawn and stretch, even briefly flap wings. Throughout, Mom does frequent nest repair, sometimes bringing in plant down, stuffing it into the nest lining. Day 16. The chicks are bigger still, stretching the flexible nest. Flight feathers are well along, and the chicks look fat and content. Occasional wing flaps, and they are more curious about their surroundings. Mom comes in at such regular intervals, you could set a clock by it. Day 19. The chicks don't seem to both fit in the nest, yet somehow they still cram in. They're fat, look bigger than Mom. They beat their wings furiously and often while Mom forages for food. They watch her every move when she flies nearby. It's interesting, there doesn't seem to be a competition for food when Mom arrives. The chicks get equal treatment. There is no dominant youngster. Here you can hear Mom scolding before she arrives. And then some precision flying. Day 20. The chicks are so full of energy, focused. They preen vigorously. Flight feathers, long black primaries, are on full display while stretching and preening, and look full size. They don't seem to care about squeezing into the nest anymore, either. Not that they'd fit. Cornell says nesting for Anna's hummingbirds is 20 days. Could this be fledge day? When I arrived early the next morning, one chick occupied the nest. The other had fledged and perched above. Mom flew in to feed the nestling. Mom fed the fledgling as well. Soon, driven by instinct, the second chick lifted off into the wider world. At one point, the fledglings perched together. Mom continued feedings for a few days before the young birds dispersed.